not be enough jobs, but there's a lot of work for people to do. And I believe that this webinar will try to, help your perception on how to rightly position yourself as we talk about work in the 21st century. I was talking about work in this pre-COVID or post-COVID, era, how you can effectively, do. So what are some of the tips you need to learn in terms of your CVs, your cover letters, just even personal branding and all those stuff. And I believe that this would be an insightful class for you. All right, to take us further in this session, this is going to be very interactive. And we have panelists. We have Fokpe and we have Chisom. And I'm going to allow them just introduce themselves for, say, 2-3 minutes, and we will commence. All right.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity. And my name is Fokwe Daniels, like you know already. I currently am a People Operations and Admin Supervisor at the GIG Group, but then I'm passionate about career development, especially for young professionals. And before now, I've had to host several career development projects, one of which is Classroom to Corporate. And so that's a brief introduction about me.
All right, awesome. All right, to take us further, maybe I'll have Chisom. Chisom, are you there? Chisom, just introduce yourself, and so that we can start the conversation, get the conversation going. Chisom, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Chisom Ofili. I am currently the head of recruitment for Jobberman. I have over 10 years experience in recruitment. So I have recruited both entry-level, mid-level, and executive recruitment as well. I'm passionate about employability skills. I'm passionate about career growth and career movement. So that's a brief introduction about me.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Chisom. Also, I'm the Senior Youth Engagement Associate at Jobberman, and we have these mandates, as I like to call it, to upskill 5 million Nigerian youth with soft skills, to make them get access to meaningful employment. And those are some of the conversations we'll be talking about there. So I have a list of questions that I'll be going through, and I believe from the expertise and the experience of Chisom and Fokpe Daniels, we will be, discussing some of all this questions. I believe that in the questions and in the answers, you will find those truths, or you will find the answers that you need, or wherever you are, or whatever you need right now. To take us, before we even start, I'd like to know, for all the 20-something participants here in this call, what would you like to learn from this conversation? What is the one thing you want to say, after this conversation, I'd like to know this, I'd like to know that. Very quickly, can you just put it in the comment section? I would love to see that, right? What is the one thing you want to learn? What's the one thing you want to know? What is the one thing you want to say, after this call, I'd like to get this, I'd like to get that. I would appreciate if you can just put it in the comment section, and yeah, we'll kick it off from there. All right, can I have some of those comments in the chat section? What is the one thing you want to say? I want to learn this, I want to learn that from this session, so that we can also cover and ensure that we're speaking truth to you. All right, the first question really, and maybe this will go to Chisom, and I'll just go like that. Considering the new normal, a lot of companies are working remotely, right? Right now, I'm working from home, and I guess you too. And there's this conversation around some change in the job place. Many skills are getting redundant and all that stuff. But I'll just even allow you to just share, considering the new normal we currently have today, what are the things that have changed? What are the things that have changed in the last year? COVID-19, the pandemic started, for the past year. What do you think from your experience and from your work? What are some of the things you think, have changed? And how can, maybe I shouldn't jump to a question. Really, but let me just jump that question. Just share what are some of the things you think have changed. Over to you, Chisom.
Okay, so a lot has changed actually. Majority of organizations have realized that employees can work from home. So one major change is working remotely. Now, another change is that a lot of people have been laid off um, because their roles have become redundant. In the same vein, there are some roles also that have been merged. Some organizations have realized that they don't need so many people on their payroll. And in the shock of the COVID-19, the first wave of COVID-19 caused a lot of companies to go into shock. So the first thing they did, after like a month, was either to slash salaries or to lay people off. So one major thing that has changed is that the job market has become more fuller than before and more, let me say, desperate than before. So those are the things that I believe have changed. So there's a higher sense of urgency in the job market, and then it has also expanded.
Fantastic. Our sense of job market, a lot of people, we have more people now, struggling for the available jobs and all that. Fantastic. Fakwe, do you want to add that?
Okay, so what I will add to it is that there's an emergence of the gig economy. So before COVID-19, it's something that was evolving, but with COVID-19, you see people are working from home. You'll be shocked that a lot of people are also doing some side gig. Some people are doing more than 2 jobs while working from home. So the emergence of the gig economy has also been in place. Then I think for some organization, they are using the hybrid work arrangement. So you don't fully work remotely. Sometimes you go to the office, another time you work remotely. So those are the things that have changed. Then recruitment interviews now are mostly online. So job seekers need to learn how to prepare themselves for online interviews, assessments. So now there's an introduction. Before, you would think that it's just if there's a graduate training recruitment that you do some of these online assessment, but because they don't want you don't necessarily have to go to their offices. They are looking for ways to also beef up their recruitment processes, because to some extent, a lot of people still don't believe so much in the online interview. So online assessment has also been a thing, even for experienced hire.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Very, very important. The gig economy is now in the. But I'd like to ask this question now. This new normal realities, or this pre-COVID or post-COVID, whatever people call it, has caused a lot of uncertainties. As much as things have changed, the way our companies work remotely and the way they recruit, and I just feel that many job seekers have these uncertainties. Are there jobs available? What do I do? And all that stuff. Considering all these things, should job seekers be worried? Should they be saying, "Oh, more," like they like to say, "I don't think I'm qualified," or should they be worried? Let me just put it that way. Should they be worried? Should they be concerned? And if they should, what are some of the things you think they can start doing right now, to position themselves for those opportunities? I'll go out for Pedro and go to Chisom.
And I told him,
Okay.
300 people housing in this building, but
Oh, there's an interference.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm muted person.
Okay. So thank you for that question. I think for me, they should not be worried. So I would say that this whole thing about employability, being employable, it starts from the mind. So there was, I think it was during the youth health season that I was speaking to a young graduate, and the first thing he said was that there are no jobs. Like, you just had to settle for what is found, and that it broke me, because from he has a mindset that there are no jobs. So I think for me, what has changed is that just as some people have lost their jobs, there are also the emergence of new jobs. And the only people that will be worried are people that have not prepared themselves, or that don't have the requisite skills to take up these new jobs, or these emerging jobs that are now available. So I did a bit of research, and I found out that every time we have crises like the Great Recession of 2018, even the crisis that had happened in the past, the people that were mostly affected are people with lower educational qualification, or people that are not really skilled or competent. So I think the only people that would be worried are people that are not well positioned for this new change. So if you are skilled, and now the evolution, the industrial evolution now, this fourth revolution is taken over by technology. So whatever skills you are acquiring, if you don't infuse or integrate technology into your work, be it you're an HR person, whether you're customer experience, whatever it is you are doing, if you are not equipped with the requisite skills that is digital oriented and technologically inclined, then you can have a cause to be worried. But if you are aware with the trend, with the changes in the workplace, I think there is nothing to be worried about.
Interesting. And Chisom, what do you think about that?
Yes, I totally agree with Fope. They shouldn't be worried, really. Rather, they should channel that energy into improving on their skills, improving the
Mm,
skills that employers need right now. So
mm.
those are the digital skills, social media marketing, because of this COVID era, a lot of people are not moving around. So they need to improve on those skills. And then the second thing is that they need to be more flexible. I mentioned earlier that some roles are being merged. You understand? So when your
Mm.
employer calls you and says, oh, apart from this, I need you to also do this and this and this, you should be flexible enough to learn those skills and also add them to your baggage, you know. So I completely agree with Fope with what she said. Yes, improve on the skills that you have. Don't be worried. You know, do your research, find out, okay, what does it take to work remotely? Improve on skills like being more entrepreneurial minded, you know, because employees right now are looking for people that will hit the ground running. So they're not going to be
Mhm.
micromanaging you. You're not coming to the office for them to check, oh, did she actually resume by 8 a.m. or not? You know, you have to be more ownership minded and entrepreneurial. Improve on those skills and you wouldn't have a problem. So when they are downsizing people, they will choose you as the one that will take up those people's jobs. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much. You know, there's this quote that says life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. And your response to the situation and the world today is, you know, like they've said, you know, get these skills, position yourself, you know, get these skills, know what the needs are in companies and find them. Absolutely. So I'll just go to the third questions, you know, and I think we tried to even answer that a bit when we're talking about do you see where job seekers have opportunities in the job market now? If you had to, if somebody's, I hear someone saying, categorically tell me, you know, what are some of the opportunities that I can get right now with my CV, right? If I don't know if based on Chisom in your work in recruitment, what are some of the needs, you know, if you can share, what are some of the opportunities or the needs that many people are looking for right now? I know you covered that in the previous question, but if you want to just, you know, reemphasize it again, because most times people think that a lot of people are just fixated on their what they studied in school, you know, and a lot of our Nigerian students, especially me, for example, I studied biochemistry and I'm something else. You know, some people they study something and they are stuck to that. You know, oh, I studied business admin. I must do business admin. What would be your advice to those people in terms of um, what are the opportunities that exist and maybe what they can do, you know, more detailed, you know, to get that.
Okay, so first of all, there was the response to this new normal was that some organizations, some people actually shut down, some people laid people off, some people cut down salaries and all that. Now, this second wave of COVID, a lot of employers are trying to recover.
Mm,
Now, this recovery process really involves needing people that can do a lot of sales and marketing. So one of the skills you should put under your belt is telesales, digital
mm,
marketing, being able to sell, as well as whatever else it is that you already have in your belt. You understand? So
mm,
a lot of employers are going to be going in that direction. Yes, your question was saying, earlier in your questions, you mentioned that this only costs job loss in some areas. Yes, it
Yeah.
caused job loss in some areas, and some people are actually thriving, like the telecommunications aspect and all that. But really, there's no industry that is going to completely die. So if you are not relevant for now in the telecommunications or those areas that are thriving, ensure that you add another skill that is needed right now. Because in recovery process, a lot of clients are going to be, a lot of employers, sorry, are going to be looking for people that can bring in business, people that can bring in innovation. So how do you advise your employer? What are the ideas that you're giving them on how to make more money? Because when they make more money, they'll be able to pay you. So skills like digital marketing, telesales, marketing, ability to work without supervision and meet targets and all that. So those are computer literacy as well. Yes, and the ability also to use what's it called? These apps that we use like Zoom, Google Meet, and all that. So you need to train yourself on how to use all of that, so that once you get that opportunity, first of all, you're able to sell yourself. And then when they give you the job, you're able to deliver. Because the same way that employers are looking for people right now, it's also very easy for them to lay off people that are not delivering. You understand? So nobody is ready to start. They don't have time right now to start training you on those things because they are trying to recover from what happened last year.
Absolutely.
So yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. Just moving on to the next question, and maybe I'll just show this to for Ped, and Chisom can also share based on our work too. As these people are now as job seekers are trying to get those jobs, they're creating their CVs, their cover letters, even on social media. What is your advice or any extra tip that you say, what, a job seeker listening to me right now, in your CV, your cover letter, even in your LinkedIn, these are 1, 2, 3 things you should do to better position yourself and sell yourself, for these jobs that are available, or even to make yourself attractive to brands. So is it soft skills? Is it hard skills? Or is it your profile statement? And I know Chisom, you look through a lot of CVs. In these times, what are some of the tips you want to give to people listening to us right now? I see Regina asking the question, said, I want to learn how to write a standard CV that stands out when submitted. So what can make your CV stand out, especially in this time? Because you cannot use the strategy of 2 years ago in 2021. Things are changing. A lot of emotions are flying. Employers are on the edge. What do you think you want to say to people now with those skills? Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that has changed, or the way things are evolving now, is that competence now overrides your certification. So now it's not so much about what you studied in school. It's not so much about your class of that's your class of degree, exactly. So it is more of your competence that people want to see. And that's what I tell people, is that for people that I've coached, for people that I talk to, the young people that I talk to, is that your CV is like a marketing tool. Your CV is like a door. So before they even see you, your CV is like, it's something that represents you, something that speaks for you when you are not there. So if you know already that competence is very much important, is much more important than your certification, how well do you position yourself, especially your competencies on your CV? Then the things that you've achieved. So one of the things I tell them is that your CV should show your competencies. A lot of people on their CV, they write communication skills, interpersonal skills. Some people can write ability to work under pressure. Those things are kind of subjective. Yes, a lot of people can actually put something that they probably are not so competent on their CV. But for me, I think it goes a long way to present your CV in the best way possible. So articulate your competencies, how it relates to the role you're applying for. The second one is your achievement. So another thing that I've found, that especially for people with about maybe people that are fresh out of school, I encourage internship a lot. And I think for some reason, people have started, they've gotten so much knowledge about the importance of internship, because when you have internship experience, the things that you achieved during those times, you can include them on your CV, and it just shows that I'm not just a regular graduate that went to school to just, probably we know to some extent, the educational system in this country is flawed. So many people do not really believe in the things that you are taught in school. I'm an industrial chemist by is it by training now? Yes, I read industrial chemistry in school, and I can tell you for free that I'm not sure I did any practical. Maybe I did titration. The same titration I did in the secondary school was what I did in. So that was one of the reasons I told myself, okay, I'm one person, and it's also good to know yourself, especially the jobs you apply for. I told myself I'm not one to position myself for failure, because I felt, what do I go and what will I go and do in the lab? Because I honestly don't. Maybe the smell of hydrogen chloride was the one I perceived when I was in the secondary school. I didn't do any practical, so I wasn't confident enough to say I want to be a quality assurance person and all. I also looked inwards. What are the things that motivate me? What are the things that I enjoy doing? I knew that it was not in any way it was going to do with the chemistry I read. So I positioned myself, and that is how I got here. So you already know yourself. You articulate all of these things on your CV. So if you have internship experience, you articulate, you put it that where I was interning, this was the things that I achieved, and it just make you stand out, at least to give you an audience. So let's see you. Let's have a deeper insight into these things that you say you know. So that's one of the things I would recommend.
Absolutely.
Your the way you articulate your achievements, the way you present your competencies as it relates to the job you are applying for. It's very important.
All right, fantastic. So we articulate your achievements, internship, present your competence in the way that is pleasing. I'm Chisom, over to you now. In terms of you've seen a lot of CVs. What do you think stands the CV out in the world today?
Okay, well, Fope has said everything really. Fope has said everything really. And as an added, remember, as you're putting your CV together, remember that right now, it's not the same CV that you had before that you would be selling now. Remember that no experience is wasted. Fobe talked about internship and all that. I also know that there are some people, while they're doing their jobs now, they have a side hustle. There are also some people that are still active job seekers. You don't have a job at all, and then you have something that you're doing to at least bring in, even if it's 5,000 naira every month, just to take care of yourself and all that. That experience is not wasted. That's marketing. That's customer service. You understand? So you communicate that in your CV. Now, in strategies for how to search for jobs, that aspect now, first of all, you need to remember that the job market is saturated right now. Both those that are looking for more money, those that don't have jobs at all and all that. So you have to be more agile in your search. Don't say, oh, I sent out 10 applications and nobody called me, so I've given up. No, don't give up so easily. You have to be more agile in your search, and you have to be more conversant with job platforms. Job platforms like Jobberman platform, you understand? Go there every day, set a target for yourself. Oh, I'm going to send out 5 applications every day. I'm going to send out 10 applications every day. Set a target for yourself and keep doing it until you see results. What's the result we're talking about? Until you get that job. You understand? So that be more agile, be conversant with job platforms. And then concerning CVs, you can always meet us as Jobberman to help you write a professional CV. You communicate with, yes, you meet us at Jobberman. We'll help you put together a professional CV that will communicate everything that you need communicated to your future employer. And apart from that as well, on our website, we post jobs every day. We have lots of jobs that we post every day. So Jobberman platform should be the first platform that you will come and check daily for your applications, and then you wait it out and see how it goes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. I'm just even going back to the audience now. Are you learning? Put in the comment section. Are you learning something today? Are you learning something today? Are you taking anything out of this conversation so far? I want to know. I want to know in the comment section, so we know that learning is taking place. I want to know in the comment section, please. Put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. Are you learning something right now? I'm still waiting. Fantastic. I see Angel saying, yes, I'm learning from this, and so on and so on. A question I would like to ask him as we plan to even round up, is that I know, and some of all these things we even talked about it, is to see that the job seekers, the world is moving very fast. Technology is changing how the way people work, especially remotely, right? And there's this conversation to say, do you think there are job seekers? Do you think job seekers are moving with the same pace that the job market is moving at? Do you think there's a gap? Do you want to identify some of all those gaps and how you think that it can be closed? Now, these can be from technical skills to even hard skill to even like you said, positioning yourself for the jobs available. It could be different things, but as the world is going very fast, do you think job seekers, maybe just, for your opinion, do you think job seekers are doing as much as they can, to get the jobs that are available? Anyone can go.
Okay, so I would say that from my own perspective, because I've done a bit of I do recruitment also. So I'd say that there are still gaps. So one of the gap is also that people tend to take their certification. They tend to make it more important than their qualification. So let me give you a typical example. I was recruiting for a customer service role, and this person was successful and all, and the person was supposed to resume work, and for some reason the person said he's not going to be in Lagos. He had to travel to Ibadan. I probed further. The person had accepted offer and was supposed to resume. So I probed further what was the reason why you're not resuming. He said he needed to go for and was it like a training or a certification, so to say. And that thing that I realized is that people mistake going for a training. They mistake it for a certification that is recognized. So like ICANN, there's a difference between when you go for an ICANN certification or you just go for maybe a data analytics training to up your skill. And I told the person, oh, you can actually sorry, you can actually resume and you'll be given time to do the training. I even educate the person that the training is not as important as you learning on the job. But I can tell you for a fact that this person didn't take the offer, and I was wowed, because I'm so sure that the training can never give what he's going to learn in the training. It can't be compared to what he's going to learn on the job. So that gap is there. The gap of then there's also the gap of people not understanding the use of digital tools and how it helps their work. That's one of the reasons why I said you understanding the importance of digital tools, learning these things, and these things can be learned. They can be learned online. So learning them and including them on your CV will also go a long way. I think those are the few things that I would point out, and I'll allow Chisom to talk also on it.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to basically talk more on the interviewing aspect of it. I believe that job seekers right now are trying to catch up with the new trends of with the new trends and all that. So during interviews, there are two things that I think you should take note of. So number one is the environment, because now most interviews are virtual. So where are you having your interview? I've had virtual interviews where the person is just standing outside on the road and then they're honing and all that. I honestly don't think that's professional, and I don't think that person prepared for that. I've had instances where I had to do a virtual interview sometime last year or 2 years ago. I was the interviewee. I had to go to an eatery, and it's not a money thing. Buy water, 100 naira, sit down there, find somewhere that has a nice plain background and stay there, do your interview. When you're done with your interview, you leave, you go home. Nobody's going to hold you back. There are even some eateries right now that do the home office thing where you can just come in, use their Wi-Fi, sit down and all that. That's number one. Your environment is very, very important. And then yes, the virtual interview does not mean you shouldn't dress properly. Check, okay, where is the area that the interviewer is going to be seeing? Because they can't see you physically. So it's whatever it is they see on the camera that they're going to go by. Then the second thing I would like to also address is network service provider. You need to ensure that you have a good network service provider. Don't say, how will I know? No, you will know because you use data. You already know the network service provider that is not okay. You are part of the people that complain about network service providers. So when you want to do a video call, why would you now use that particular one? You know, so network service provider. And the second thing is the environment where you are being interviewed, and then do your research before that interview. So those are the gaps that I have noticed that I'm addressing. Yes.
Fantastic,
Sorry,
fantastic. Okay.
Can I add something?
All right then, fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so I think another thing I want to point on is about career direction. So most of the time you hear job seekers saying, oh, I'm just looking for any job. Recently I did a CV review for someone, and the person was like, she wants a flexible CV that can be used to apply for any job. And I was like, that is a gap, because your CV should be tailored to a particular role that you are interested in. And based on my career development, the career development project that I do, I usually advocate that people have a sense of direction. You can have an option, especially when you're just starting out, you can have an option of two, especially when you're starting, so that you have two CVs that are tailored to two different roles, and you send them when you see this. So the direction also is always is a gap. So people that are on the call now, I need to let you know that your CV should not, when you say flexibility, it's just like using a CV of an accountant to apply for an HR role. It cannot work. So that also, you need to understand who you are, understand the things that you're interested in, the things that you're passionate with, and look for it. I think it doesn't really take time. It's just that you need to put some effort, and it's part of the things that you're supposed to do is also getting competent on that side. You can just learn it on the side and articulate it on your CV, go for training. Another way you can position yourself, sometimes you use training to you go for training. Recently, I attended a training. I'm still on that training, and I needed to access like a mentor. It was a senior colleague. If I had not gone for that training, I won't be able to, because I now have access to the person's personal number. I reached out to the person. The person helped me with a career information I needed. So I'm just saying that those are the ways. Also, attending places, events like this would also help to get information that will make you move faster.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. So just to rephrase it, to reiterate what you said, learn on the job. You know, most of the skills I deploy now in my career, I learn them on the job, right? Especially those of us, even in the workplace. If you notice that there's a need in your current organization, go and learn the skills on how to solve that need, and that's how you learn. You know, digital tools, good network for virtual interviews, good network. It's not the one you're doing an interview, say, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Or you're in the bus park, right? Be professional. And there are no excuses for these things, really. Your background, career direction, tailor your CV, you know, to the job you're applying for. Someone's asking, is it true that one doesn't need to put bio data in his CV, like sex, marital status, region, age, etc. Chisom, yes or no?
There's a lot of gist in the market. Really, put your details. It tells the truer picture of who you are. Well, okay, so you want to just put Chisomo Philly and then put job description. It doesn't work like that. Put in your full details. Put in your full details. Put in your address. Put in your location. Put everything you need to put in, so that when someone looks at your CV at a glance, you have a true picture of who you are. That's what I believe. Yes.
All right. So put as much.
If you don't put your bio data, I feel that you're hiding something. As a recruiter, if you don't put your bio data, I feel that there's something that you're hiding, and I don't like
religion.
Why are you hiding? There's nothing wrong with your religion. What we're looking at is your ability to do the job. Yes. So religion doesn't really matter. Yes.
Absolutely. All right, and just to even mention, as we talk about some of all those demands, there's something I heard last year, and persons talked about what do job seekers and even people who are in jobs. There are three questions they need to ask themselves. Number one, what is your indispensability index? Meaning, what is the demand for what you do? What is the demand for Do people, do companies need these skills that you have? If you don't have it, how can you learn it? So what's the demand for what you do? That's the first question, the indispensability index. Somebody can put it on the chat. I appreciate that. The second question is actually said, what is your employability or capability index? Meaning, how well do you do what you can do, right? How well do you see many organizations now that are managing people, right? They are not effective on the job. So how well can you do what you can do? That talks about your employability index. If they call you for a digital marketing role, can you do that? And these are the honest questions people need to start asking themselves. Now, you may not have everything 100% now, but if you have a 50%, you want to learn on the job. You want to be a go-getter and all those conversations. The third question you need to ask yourself is, what is your ownership index? Meaning, how hard is it to replace you? If you go to what you're doing right now, how well are you taking ownership of that? You're volunteering. Volunteering is another pathway, to get in a job right now, right? If you go and volunteer, how well are you taking ownership of what you're currently doing? So that's the three questions I believe everybody should ask themselves. What is your ownership index? What is your employability index? What's your indispensability index? And I think that's going to help us a lot. Now, as we prepare to round up, this has been a very insightful conversation, and I believe the audience will agree with me. I'm just going to ask one question. Okay, maybe I won't even ask it anymore because Chisom already covered that. The question was about winning virtual interviews. Any other contribution to add to that? How can job seekers win virtual interviews? In addition to what Chisom shared earlier about good background, career direction, and good network. Any other contribution you have to that? Before we just start taking questions. By there? Okay, I think network issues. All right. So, Chisom, maybe I'll just ask the last question while we wait for Fokwe to join in. On a general note, what do you think job seekers can do better? Then we go into the questions that we have on the comments on the chat section. General notes, what would you say a job seeker should do better?
Generally, do everything better. There's always room for improvement. Do everything better. If you have 2 qualifications under your belt, add more. If you can do digital marketing, improve on it. There's always room for improvement. Do everything better. Do your job search better. Do everything better, really, because you always have to have an edge. I tell job seekers this: you don't fail an interview because you are a bad person. You fail an interview because someone else did better than you did at that particular interview. So make sure that at every point in time, you are improving yourself, improving yourself, improving yourself. So please do everything better.
Do everything better. Are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. Do you want to share, ask a question about what do you think some employers can do, some job seekers can do better in virtual interviews? Do you have anything to add to what Chisom talked about, good network background and all that? Anything to add to that?
I think she's done pretty well.
Fantastic.
She's,
All right. All right, fantastic. So we'll just take some questions in the chat section for the next, say, 5 minutes, and we'll cut off. So I'll just quickly look through some of the questions we have here. Someone is asking, how do you get to volunteer for jobs? I think there was a session we did a Jobberman a few days ago on volunteering, right? And this, to me, you see an organization you want to work in, send an email, right? Go there and ask them, you're online. Let me tell you, I got my first job, right? I was online and I saw this company put up a post on their social media page. And I think the way that it was structured, it wasn't really good, right? The flyer design and all that was not really good. Now, I'd learned graphic designing by myself or just watching YouTube videos and the rest. So I reached out to them on Twitter and said, you know what, I can design this thing better. I designed it and sent it to them and told them I would like to volunteer for you on this conference, right? I identified a need I created a solution and I went there, volunteered for 3 months. And after that, I was employed full-time in the job.
Great.
So those are some of the ways you can identify these things. Last year, everybody was doing conferences online, right? Using Open, using Zoom and all that stuff. What did I do? I went to learn how to do virtual conferences, how to do setup and everything. And I got two gigs, last year to do three. I shared it on my LinkedIn to do virtual conferences for 3 organizations, and I was paid for that. So in addition to what we're saying here, also identify what are the current needs in the world today. Don't spend time on Twitter and watching solo challenges or on all those.
Exactly.
This is the time to put your data to good use. Very. All right. Someone asked a question. Does being a few months into a new role stand as a disadvantage to your getting a new job? Because I've stayed long in the previous role. I'm not sure if you understand that question, but Chisom, do you think you understand? I said, does being a few months into a new role stand as a disadvantage to my getting a new job because I haven't stayed long in the previous role? So meaning if I want to apply for another job and I've just spent 3 months, would that be an issue?
Okay, I'm going to assume that this previous role is the few months role you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
For me, my first question as a recruiter will be like, okay, where are you running to? What happened? But your experience prior to that would determine whether I would call you in for an interview or not. So if I have, if your history is telling me that you're a job hopper, I'll probably not consider you because employers are not looking to spend money for recruitment every 2 months, every 3 months. You understand? So if I look through your CV and I see that every other place you have stayed, I'll probably call you in to find out why you want to leave that place so soon. But if you're a job hopper, I probably wouldn't call you because it shows that you are not, what's the word? You're not loyal. You're not loyal. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, that? Okay.
Well, for me, I do not think it depends. Now, there might be reasons why this person wants to leave. Maybe what the person is doing is not exactly what they want to do, and they have an opportunity to really do what they want to do. So sometimes, and I'm also looking at the way the job market is now, really, especially for some millennials and even Generation Z, they don't stay long. And for me, I just think that as
even 2 months.
What did you say?
Even 2 months.
2 months. 2 months is actually
60
short.
days. Or let's call it 50 days. If you remove, the
2 months is short.
50 days.
2 months is short. But the question will also be why maybe the person really has a genuine reason for leaving. Probably you've seen your dream job and you don't want it to slip off you. So maybe.
Okay.
I think we lost her again. So 2 questions. I will call it one question. Last one. I'll answer the last one based on what I think it should. The first question maybe to Chisom because of your role in your recruitment and looking at CVs. For somebody who's in entry level, meaning I get this question a lot. How do I frame my profile statements? How do I frame? I don't have experience. I want to apply for digital marketing, for instance. I've not really worked in any digital marketing firm. How do I frame my CV or craft my CV in a way that as an entry level in any organization, I stand a chance to get a job?
Okay, there's something Fokbe talked about earlier in this workshop. You're an entry-level person. For you to be interested in digital marketing, I'm sure that you have the passion, and then you have seen some traits in yourself that made you attracted to that. So digital marketing, and you don't have any experience in the workplace. So you like the digital marketing because you have been marketing some products on the side or something, So those are the things. So your caption in that, your profile in that instance would be, I am a graduate of so and so and so and so, who is passionate about this. I have achieved this in so and so areas of my life. During IT, I did this. During this, I did that. That's what will frame your profile. And another thing is, don't make so much, what's the word? Don't prioritize that profile so much, because What I'm actually looking for as a recruiter is what you have done, your achievements. And those achievements may not be in the corporate world. It could be, especially for these entry-level people, it could be a side hustle, it could be your IT, it could be your internship and all that. So that profile could probably just be, I'm a graduate of so and so and so, from so and so school, currently studying this training and that training and that training, and I'm passionate about this. I would like to work in an organization where these skills can be honed and all that and all that. Then when you get down to your job description and all that, you then put in your internship, you put in all those other things that you have done. Don't pack so much information into the profile, because really it's just the profile. I'm looking at the details. And now when I have 100 CVs to go through, I have 100 CVs to go through, I have 200 CVs to go through. The first thing I do is your job description, the first job that you have done. I look through that first page, the first 2 jobs that you have done. If that's interesting, I'll go to your qualifications. If that's also interesting, I then go back to your profile to now see, oh, achievements, this is what this person has done and all that. So profile is not the number one right now, really. It's the quality of the rest of the CV. For me, that's my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I'll just direct the next question, or still on Chisom. Then I'll ask for the last question there. And someone's asking about salary structure. In your interviews lately, how do people best, is salary? I usually feel, I personally feel that different people have different needs per time, depending on the job they're applying for. For an entry level, there are conversations around, is salary the thing you need, or is the experience? For maybe 2 years experience, they're talking about salary. But generally speaking, what's your advice to a job seeker having a salary negotiation conversation in an interview?
Okay, the first thing I'm going to say is that in Nigeria, we don't really have like a salary structure, a fixed, salary structure. So basically organizations fix salaries based on what they can afford or what they can do or what they want to do. So when you're negotiating salaries, you go for an interview and you negotiate salaries. To be honest, you need to find out, okay, how much am I earning now? How much can I earn possibly? What's the highest I can earn? Okay, if I can't earn that highest range, what's the lower range that I can earn? And then you need to also consider the distance. Oh, the place is in Lekki. I'm currently living in so and so place. Do your plus and minus based on what your needs are, because it does not make sense for you to go and get a job and then it's a burden to you. It's that you're working at a loss, So if you decide, for example, you're living in Ojodu Beggar and the job is at Aja, if you find out that, oh, this is something I'm really passionate about and I have someone I can stay with at Aja, and they're adding just 10K to what I'm currently doing, oh, why not? Do you understand? Because 10K that you don't have, there was a time that I interviewed someone. The clients liked him, loved him actually, and offered him, I think, a salary and accommodation. But because the salary was not exactly what he wanted, because he wanted like 100% increase, he didn't even take note of the fact that he wouldn't be paying rent. So if you work in that organization for 5 years, you're not paying rent. And that's a huge thing off your bill in this Nigeria, really. So it was later on we found someone else for the clients. They gave them accommodation and then a vehicle and all that. He now realized that, oh, this was a blunder. So think it through. What exactly are your needs? What exactly are these people offering before you now say, okay, I will take it or I will not take it?
Sir?
Right? Evaluate what your needs are, where you're now. Sometimes it's not really about the salary, it's about what you want to do on the job, and if you feel that what they're offering you is not doesn't meet your needs, have a conversation. It doesn't have to have a conversation. Do it politely. If they say, and you'll be shocked, they might agree to it or not, but there's no out of fast rules to that. Just do you. Fantastic. I really love that contribution. So for Claire Daniels, your surname is my first name. Generally, what would you say job seekers should do better? What should job seekers do better in 2021?
I didn't get that.
In 2021, what should job seekers do better, generally speaking?
Okay. Job seekers should be aware of the changes, and they should know that technology is going to be is a big part of the change. It's a big part of the change. And they should also know that the changes are rapid. So one technology just launched, and before you say Jack Robinson, another one has launched again. So the world, as in the tech space, the job market is constantly changing. Adaptability skills, then transferable skills. So sometimes what you just need to move from, especially for people that want to change careers, what you just might need to look out for is transferable skills. What skills do I have now in my current role or my current job that is transferable to the other ones? And those are the skills that you would also articulate on your CVs. So another thing is to, in this time, you need to be your career, you need to be your own CEO, your career CEO. Do not let anybody, because if you are not careful, for someone that is saying, I want my CV to be flexible for just any job, that is why some employers or some recruiters would treat you anyhow. The truth is, you will be addressed the way you present yourself, the way you give, the perception people have about you would also matter in the way they address you as regards job seeking or job when you're job searching. So the most important thing is career CEO. And you can't be a career CEO. Is there a proud CEO without leadership skills? Is there a proud CEO without competence? You can't be a proud CEO without competence, without results. So you need to get, as in, try and do the dirty job. The dirty job is to get yourself skilled, get yourself with the competence. Are you there?
Yes, we're here. I think
Okay, so
his network is poor. Yes, but we can hear you.
Okay, so I think what job
Absolutely.
seekers need to do now is to get their hands dirty, get competent, get the right skills that you need for this time. And technology is a big part of it, and you would make progress fast.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you to Fokpe, and thank you to Chisom. This was really, really insightful. Someone's asking you, a job requires put someone, for instance, but you have to even third class. Do you need to apply for that job knowing feeling well that you didn't qualify for it based on certification? Me, I will say apply, take your shots, if you don't apply, nothing will happen.
No, don't apply. Daniel.
Apply. Don't apply.
Don't apply.
Okay, why do you say don't apply? I personally feel no. This is what I'm saying. I personally feel that if you have the skills, listen. If you have the skills, let's say you've learned the skills from freelancing or even from working another job, maybe another job employs you based on that. If you have those skills, right, and it's a company is asking for 2-1 in the requirement place, and you have a 2-2. I feel that if you have the skills, you can just try. Why do you think differently about that?
Okay, so all the times that my clients have asked me for a specification, and I went ahead to give them something else, it made me look very unprofessional. They blatantly refused. I'll say 100% out of it, yes. So what I do is I go and I look for your exact specification. If I'm having trouble finding that exact specification, I come back to you and negotiate with you to change your specifications. So when you change your specifications, that's what I use to search. So if you see that the client is asking for 2-1, I have 2-2 or third class, please don't apply. Because another thing is most of these international organizations, their structure comes from above. So you can't come to Nigeria and they're saying, okay, this is what we want. They now employ someone. And at the point of doing onboarding, they notice that, oh, you have a 2-2. You've already resigned from your former job. You go and start looking for a job. So please don't apply. Apply for what suits you. Apply for what suits you, yes.
All right, that's very insightful. I usually thought differently about that, but I think I get that point of view from the recruiter perspective. Very, very important.
Yeah.
On the next question, I'll cover less standard to already answer those questions. Someone asks, how can Jobberman, write the CV? I don't know. I think Prince or Oyinlola will put the details on the chat section for you to either send an email or go to the website. I think somebody is going to put information in the comments section. But I just want to know, how's this been for you from the audience? What have you learned? What have you learned? What have you learned? What have you learned? Tell me one thing you've learned so far. Tell me one thing you've learned so far from this conversation. Very insightful. Thank you, Chisom. Thank you, Papa. I want to know in the comment section, tell me, what is the one thing you're taking away from this conversation? Let me know. I am waiting, and we'll be done in about 1 minute. What is the one thing you're taking away from this conversation? I can't see. Okay, my question, Inquiry, your question was, you said, how can your cover letter stand out? We've said, or Chisom, do you want to say that again? We said, write about your experiences, write about your achievements in the way that is tailored to.
We've already covered that.
We've already covered all that. All right. Any other one? I was asking, I'm going to start calling names. What are the things you think stood out for you from today's conversation? I'd like to know. All right. Thank you, Mr. Odo. You said I learned challenges facing job seekers. Presently, and how one can excel in the storm, employability, ownership in the specialised index. I've learned those. Thank you. Never apply for a job you're obviously not qualified for. Very insightful. We'll now be taking a session. Okay, there'll be another session on this, on CV and cover letter. So the details on that will be shared. Okay, fantastic. Your CV should be targeted to roles you're interested in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hand over to the team now. Thank you once again, Chisom, for that panel. And I believe the people, I've learned personally as what's it called now, as a moderator, and I believe other people learned relevant skills. Thank you very much. Until
time. Thank you for having us.
I'll see you when I see you. All right, over to you, Uno. Or Prince.
Thank you so much, our host, Daniel Mbenaho. I must apologize for calling you Emmanuel, but I thank God you have a brother called Emmanuel. And also, there's a slight error. I think you picked up your former place of work from your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Please, Daniel is not the programs coordinator for Leap Africa. He's the Senior Youth Engagement Associate with Jobberman. I hope that clears that. Thank you so much. Thank you for Claire. Thank you, Chisom,
for having me.
Insightful session. And
Thank you.
we're all here. We'll be moving on to the CV and cover letter writing session of the workshop. But before then, I'd like you to know that this workshop was brought to you by Mbari Uno. Mbari Uno is a design hub located at Ikeja GRA. So I'll be handing over to the Jobberman team to take us through the CV and cover letter writing class. Are we ready? Are we ready? Great.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Reina Lalawa. Please, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay, my name is Reynala Lawal, and I'm the CV writing specialist at Jobberman. So far, so good. It's been an enlightening session even for me, and I'm amazed at how much much wealth of knowledge has been passed across in the past 1 hour. Basically, for CV writing, Chisom has covered a lot. Same for everybody has covered quite a lot in CV writing. So basically, I'll just be giving us an overview of of how your CV should look like and cover letter as well. All right, so CV and cover letter writing. Basically, the average recruiter spends close about 3 to 5 seconds checking out CV, especially now that we have a lot of job seekers compared to the available jobs, and a whole lot of people are on the search for new jobs. So it's now lies on the job seeker, to ensure that the CV sells. CV is the accurate professional representation of who the person is. Okay, so, and then to achieve this, your CV has to be as effective as possible. It has to be as professional as possible. And then features of your CV, because a whole lot of people send their CVs, of course, and even as we have different job roles, some CVs can be duplicated to look like the next person's one. So the goal is for yours to stand out amidst a whole lot of other CVs. All right. So one thing also that you should note for a CV is that, there are times that you get a job and then it comes in a rush. You just want to send your CV, see that, okay, let's see if I get a chance, rather, if it's, who knows, I can get it. And then in our rush, we just make the mistake of not cross-checking the CV for grammatical errors, for spellings, and the likes. All these things matter, because the average recruiter, while going through a CV and keeps counting errors, grammatical errors, would assume that, oh, this person is really not an observant person, or this person is tardy, or this person is not as efficient or as effective as possible. So while crafting your CV, it is important that you check through for grammar errors in each and every line, right from your name. Yeah, make sure your name is correctly spelled. Make sure your email address is the correct email address that you have access to the email address. And like I was going to say before, that your email address should be as professional as possible. So if the current email address you have is not one that is professional, say, talk about beautifulcynthia@gmail.com, or big bad buyer at yahoo.com. It's not professional, and you might need to, or you actually need to create another Gmail or an email address. Thank God it actually doesn't cost anything for you to create another email address, so you can do that and ensure that the email address on your CV is professional enough and is actually active. You have access to it. So whenever anybody wants to reach out to you in relation to your CV or your job, then they can actually reach out to you with ease, and you get the message as soon as possible. Also, your phone number too. It's necessary that the phone number is your correct phone number. So know that, check for all the numbers. It's possible to make a mistake. If your number is 11, Nigerian number is 11, and you mistakenly send 10, then nobody will be able to reach out to you. And let's assume for that particular company, they want to reach out to you via a phone call first, and then your number is incomplete. There's really no way they'll be able to access you that way. So confirm that your number is correct and can be reached at every point in time. All right. So your first name and your last name is fine. You don't have to put more than you don't have to put more than 3 names. You don't have to put more than 3 names in your CV, so it doesn't look all scattered and all over the place. Now, your professional title is basically, say, let's assume this person is a barrister. The professional title would be barrister or legal advocate. So it's actually optional, especially in a situation where, one, you're just starting out your career, so you really do not know what your title will be, or maybe you are trying to change careers and you don't want to send a CV. If you are moving from, say, you are moving from a media career to a finance career, if the CV is depicting if the CV, that's your title now, if your CV title is depicting that of a media personnel, and you're applying for a finance job, then it would short sell you. So your professional title, in as much as it is important, you should ensure that it is what exactly you are doing at the moment, or what you have done in times past, or what you look forward to doing because you have an experience in it already, but it is optional. Then your career summary is three sentences, because the aim is for your CV not to be too long, because if your CV is overshooting 3 pages, moving on to 4 pages, then there'll be an issue somewhere, because no one has that time to start going through a CV that looks like an ebook. So you have to ensure that only the relevant details are in your CV. And now your professional summary, because it's like the first point of contact, it definitely should come right after your name and your biodata. So since it is like the first point of contact now, you have to ensure that it tells you well. Now, your professional summary will include, one, what you are doing, like what you have successfully done in the past, that's in your career. It should, in some cases, it can contain your excuse me, please. It can contain the number of years of experience you have. So that's contain the number of years you have spent in your career line. And then also your professional summary is supposed to include, it can actually have achievements, statutory achievements that on seeing it looks like something that's would sell you better. So when you're crafting out your professional summary, look out for the outstanding things that you have done in the past and sell yourself with that in mind. And then I mention the things that you can do in keywords. Yes, make use of keywords for that industry you are applying for. So if you're applying for a finance role, make sure the keywords you are using, that's all the words you are using, all the tenses, your verbs that you are using are directly related to the job you are applying for. So your professional summary becomes complete when it has the accurate keywords, it has the right number of experiences, and something that can sell you better and is effective enough to show that truly you can do what you are applying for. Then so moving on, your CV would have your relevant competencies or areas of expertise. This is to show that you are not just sending a document, you are sending a document that highlights the things that you can do, what you can do. Now, in your CV, your technical skills are actually very, very important. Now, technical skills doesn't mean that it has to be technical as in the real term of the word, but technical skills as it applies to the job you are applying for, as it applies to you. So it's not that you are just adding a lot of technical skills and the ones that do not really matter to that job role. No, just sieve it down and make sure that the competencies or areas of expertise that you're highlighting is related to the job role. Then your soft skills as well. You don't have to write everything. You don't have to just relevant ones. It doesn't even have to be much. Like there are some soft skills that are okay. You can talk about problem solving. That's a soft skill. Talk about communication skills. That's it. That's a soft skill. Talk about people management. It's a soft skill as well. So you can put that to sell you better. Now your professional achievement. Now it's actually important to ensure that as you go on in your career journey, you document things that you have done in measurable terms, because those things will come in handy in the future when you want to apply or when you want to sell yourself. So in measurable terms now would refer to you being able to measure it in percentage, measure in percentage, measure in numbers in such a way that okay, they know, okay, oh, you increased sales by 50%, or you ensured that losses are reduced by 35%, in such a way that they have a clear idea of what you have done and what you have succeeded in. So also, you can mention projects you've handled. This doesn't have to do with all jobs. That is why your CV is tailored to meet your own needs specifically. So the fact that person A puts projects in their CV, that's because maybe the person has served as a project manager or as a product manager, and then they've handled projects. It doesn't mean that you have to put projects. And then also for entry-level graduates, you really do not have to put your final year thesis if it's not relating at all to the job you're applying for. If it's for maybe say law graduates now, and then your thesis is linking directly to the job you offer, then it's fine to mention the project you managed or the project you wrote, that's your final year project, and then a link that would direct the recruiter to see what you have done. Then your work experiences as well. Just make sure that while writing out your work experience, you have the right company name. You don't make mistakes in spelling. You don't make mistake in placing the names right. And then you don't have to put the whole address of the company. It's just fine to say Jobberman NIgeria Limited, Lagos. You don't have to put 34 Johnson Street, Sheyi Close, Lagos. No, you can just put the state of residence or the state where the company is located, and then the year, your inaccurate details, the amount of time you have spent in the job. So March 2020 to December 2021. That's as specific as possible. So you don't just put 2019 to 2020, because they really need the numbers to determine how long you spent. Just like Chisom was saying that 2 months is too short. 2 months is too short for to spend in a location, because the person will begin to wonder what's the problem. So that's the same way. If you do not put your specific specific duration you spend at the workplace, the recruiter begins to wonder, okay, is it that you spent maybe 1 year? Is it that you are forgetful, or is it that you just are not particular about being specific? So it's important to put your years of experience, or the number of days, number of months, number of years that you have spent in your job. You don't have to say 15th of April 2020. You can just say April 2020. So that's specific enough. You don't have to go into the days, like the date itself. Then your educational background as well is relevant. Even if the job you're applying for doesn't have a lot to do with the course you studied in school, it is still important to show that you are a graduate or you went to a school at a point in time. So whatever course you studied, be it master's, BSc, diploma, PGD, anything at all, just put it there, but ensure that you're putting it in order of. Hello, please, can you mute your mic so we are not get distracted? So in order of relevance, in order of timing. So for your work experience, it's from the latest experience to the oldest experience. So if you started working in 2013, and then currently you are still working, then it just follows that your 2013 experience would come last. But so in order of importance, it starts from your last job experience to the one before, and then it keeps going like that. So from descending order, it's descending kind of arrangements. So that should be noted. Then for courses that you have done and trainings you have done, you can add it if it is relevant. So the fact that you have done a lot of courses in the past or you've attended several trainings is not enough reason for you to clog your CV with that. If it is not relevant to the job you're applying for, if it's not relevant to that particular CV or the industry you are in at the moment, or the industry you are looking at advancing into, then you can do away with it in your CV. Your membership to bodies that you belong to, project management, professional, whatever, just to make sure that it is right. It is important to the job you are applying for. That is it. Your CV should be relevant enough, should be professional enough, it should be specific enough to sell you well. Then your interest and hobbies is quite optional. Why I say it's optional is when it comes to interest, if you are an entry level worker or you just graduated from school, you really do not have as much experience yet. You are still trying to start your career. So your interest in that situation you should be tailored to make reference to that particular industry that you are applying for in such a way that, okay, they know that, oh, you're not just applying, you're actually interested in this thing. You have interest in it. So you don't just put irrelevant interests or hobbies that are not linking, like hobbies like maybe saying you like cooking, it's irrelevant. You like dancing, it's irrelevant, except if you are for dancing, except if you are applying for a dancing job. For cooking, except if you are applying for a cooking for a role as a cook. So it's not important. If it's not important, then it shouldn't be in your CV. Your references is actually really not, and it's not a compulsory thing. You don't have to add your reference to it, because either ways the company would still do their research, check out where you've worked in, and there's really no telling why they should. The average recruiter would say, okay, why exactly should I check out the reference you put? What if the reference is just your personal person and you just want to feel good? And what else? The personal person will definitely say what is right about you. So most times they do not make use of the reference you put. So why not save your space and leave it out of your CV? All right, so now your general do's and don'ts. So signs of achievement and impact. That's why I said document your achievements, document what you do, so that when you want to craft your CV, it comes in handy and it serves you well. Avoid more responsibilities. So achievements over responsibilities at any point in time, because achievements are more valuable. Responsibilities, anybody can be given responsibility, but not everyone can achieve so well and be valuable in that kind of responsibility. So while you have a particular responsibility, look out for what you achieved in the responsibility that you were given, and that should be what you put in your CV. And then your CV should also be neat and professional in arrangements. Do not use more than one font in your CV. Do not, as much as you can, ensure that your font is not too small and it is not too big. So it's not too small to the point of squinting, and it's not too big to the point of having the recruiter or whoever is checking your CV move back, and because it is intruding. So not too big, not too small. I would recommend size 11 for your body. That's font size 11 for your font size. And then we have a lot of fonts, but the fact that we have a lot of fonts doesn't mean that you have a lot of fonts to use for your CV. There are some fonts that you just definitely shouldn't use. Or there are some fonts that are so stylish that they should just be used for designs, like maybe stylish designs, invitation cards, and the like. So you don't have a point. You don't have to use maybe, let me think of. I'm trying to think of some fonts that are stylish and beautiful, but not professional. So there are some fonts, like talk about Sanskrit. There are some fonts. What else? But we know this because we have access to Word documents, and we'll be conversant with font styles. So fonts that you should that is good and no repeater would have an issue with would include, we have Calibri. No one will have issues with Calibri. No one will have issues with Cambrai. You can also use railway, RALEWAY. You can use that as well. You can use Georgia. You can use Garamond too. You can use you can use Arial so in some cases. So just ensure that the font you are using is not too stylish to mistake your CV for an invitation card or for as a casual document. So professionalism is key. It is key at all points in time. Then give detailed information. I've said this over and over again. Detailed information, but not too many words. If you want to say something in 5 words, look for a way to minimize it to 2 words. And you don't have to say so much. Don't mistake the fact that okay, your CV is so full doesn't mean that it has the right information. Something I'm certain that a sentence that you can say with 10 words can still be said in 2 words, can be said in 3 words. So ensure for the least words, but the most specific, least but specific. So it would sell you better. Then you have to be consistent in whatever you're using. So the same font style, don't change styles, don't change font styles. Then if you are bolding a particular segment, maybe the head of a segment, make sure you are bolding the head of another segment so it doesn't look so, it's not like you emboldened your work experience in quotes, and then you did not remember to embolden your education. So ensure that it is consistent in format. Then use bullet points. Use bullet points as not too much bullet points, of course. Don't use too much bullet points so it doesn't look like it is a CV list. But for instances like your competencies, your areas of competencies, or your areas of expertise, talk about your work, your achievements, to just make use of bullet points so that it is all at a glance. You can see it all at a glance, and the recruiter can also see it all at a glance. But the idea is for you not to overdo it. Don't overdo it. All right. So also, you should avoid using buzzwords. Some buzzwords are not necessary because everybody assumes anybody can do that. Anybody can be energetic. You don't really have to put it in your CV. Anybody can be motivated. If you are not motivated, you shouldn't even send your CV in the first place. So there are some buzzwords that are just a waste of space. So make use of effective words that that counts in the large scheme of things. So, and then excessive use of abbreviations. Don't abbreviate too much. You do not have to abbreviate too much because it sends a signal that you are probably too casual, or you are.
I don't like your word. At the end of the day, the woman will get with the husband.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, so, or that you are too casual, or you are not just ready. You're not ready for the job. So ensure that you do not abbreviate as much as possible. Now, CVs, because we have a lot of people applying for a job. One recruiter cannot. It's not really possible for a single recruiter to go through hundreds of CVs. That's why everything has gotten so technological that it's quite easy. Now you have the ATS system. It's called the applicant tracking system. It's used by most recruiting firms to narrow down the job search and make it easier and faster. So now, in a situation whereby it's an ATS that is scanning your CV, then there's something that you need to put in place to ensure that the ATS is really getting the point, and the ATS is going to grade you, give you enough percentage in order for you to get to the highest ranked. Now, first things first, like I've mentioned before, keywords are necessary. The keywords for that industry you are applying for is necessary for you to have it at different points in your professional summary, in your work experience, in your skills, in your trainings, whatever. Just make sure that you make use of the keywords. Don't use fancy words. Don't use literary terms. Don't get poetic. Make use of keywords. Be specific as possible. Then there are some situations whereby some ATS cannot scan your documents. As there are some ATS that are designed to scan PDF files. In this situation, then it might not be able to pick out all the words. So it's advisable you send your CV rather as a Word document, except in a situation whereby okay, it is requested that you send as a PDF file. Now, some people keep complaining that if you send it as a Word document, the arrangement scatters or something. So as long as you've crafted your CV fine using a Microsoft Word, not your phone, it's advisable you do your CV using a system. So you get all the arrangements well, and you have your alignments in place. So except for situations where they request for a PDF, then you can just send your Word documents and be on the safe side. So the ATS wouldn't have an issue with it. Then, like I mentioned, fonts, visibility of fonts is necessary. Don't use fancy, beautiful fonts when you can use more effective fonts that the ATS can see without issues. Because the ATS is not human being, so it's not like it will be able to start overlooking some things. It's going to work based on filter, the particular filter it has to work with. And if you are not up to standard when it comes to the filtering, then you might not get to the position of highest ranks and then move on to the next stage of the job application process. All right, now moving on to styles. This is a CV format. For name, you can make use of either of the three. You can make use of either of the three styles. Your name can be on the left, it can be on the right, it can stand alone in the center, and any of this works. Like I said before, ensure that your address is your address is where you are staying currently, your correct address. And it's not a must that you put your street address and everything. You can just say Lagos, Nigeria, especially maybe if you are open to changing locations, if you are open to changing, maybe you are available to travel down for the job. You don't really have to put your house address, your house number, and all that. And then if you are applying for a job that is not based in Nigeria, ensure that you make use of your the country code +234 to show that you're a Nigerian, and it gets easier for the recruiters to be able to reach out to you. So, and then make sure your name is as bold as possible so they don't mistake your name for maybe the house address. So just make sure it is as bold as possible and it is clear. There's clarity when the recruiter goes through your CV. Then this is now talking about good arrangements. This is well arranged. It is well arranged because you have the job role. You have the job role intern coming first. You have spring intern coming first. You have the job roles coming first, then the company coming next. So this is you being consistent in your formatting. Then you have the duration all on the same side on the right part of the screen. So, and then you make use of bullet points also in order to make it as clear and as easy to read as possible. And now, okay, this is a sample of another kind of work experience. Now you can see the issue with this. One, the person did not highlight what they did, what they achieved in the past in the job roles. The person was not specific enough for the job durations, and the person was not just, now you see, profitable here. It should have started with the capital letter P, obviously, but based on the fact that maybe the person was not patient enough, the person was not observant enough to go through the CV before sending, then it shows this way, and all these things counts in your CV. So make sure you have all your spellings in place, you have everything in place so that you do not have issues with being ignored for the job. Then now we have like I mentioned, after your career objective or your professional summary, you should create a particular segment for your expertise or your competencies. Now, the first one is wrong because, not like it is wrong, it is really not good. It's not professional enough because it's so much, and then no one can scan this, the first one. You can't scan the first one in 5 seconds. Meanwhile, the second one, that areas of expertise here where you have strategic sales and marketing down to interpersonal skills. You can see that, okay, the recruiter, even you yourself can go through it at a glance and understand that, okay, this is good enough. Now, I mentioned that attributes are nice, but not professional. So you have to pick skills over attributes at any time, any day. Pick your skills over attributes, because attributes are, they are good, but they are not as professional as skills. All right, so basically just as a round off, so for CV writing, keep your CV short and simple. 2 pages is fine. Tell your CV to the industry, make use of keywords that count, include only relevant information, and then quantify your achievements in past workplaces because they will sell you. Then check for spelling errors. Then name your CV. Don't name your CV. I've gotten some CVs in the past where they just send the CV and the title of their CV is saying maybe Finance Officer 2020. No, when naming your CV, name your CV. When you allow CV writer, that is as specific enough as possible so nobody's confused at the end of the day. So ensure that your CV is named according to what you bear, no nicknames, what you bear exactly. Now let's just move on to cover letter as we round off. All right, so for your cover letter, it is let me mention now that your cover letter, even the fact that you have to send your CV doesn't make your cover letter irrelevant. A cover letter is good, especially if you are sending your CV first via email and then you have your cover letter in place too. It's easier for a recruiter to just quickly go through the cover letter and see, oh, okay. All right, let's see what the CV contains. The cover letter is like a pointer, it's like an arrow telling you that, okay, this is a tip of the iceberg of what I can do. Just move on to my CV and see the other things I can do. So your cover letter should be as fantastic and professional as possible. And then to achieve this, you need to have some things in place. Your cover letter rather should show that you are the best talent for the position. You also, in this instance, you also have to use keywords that are relevant to the job role. You also have to make reference to past experiences that would matter in the present job role you are applying for. So the fact that you have done something great in one field before is not enough reason for you to put it in a cover letter for another industry entirely that the industry doesn't even understand what exactly you did in the past role. It's not important. So just make sure that your CV, your cover letter rather, has the best information that would sell you. Engaging, should be engaging and convincing. So don't just send a cover letter that is just drab. Put a cover letter that is attractive enough to be read. Your cover letter should be attractive enough, starting from the first line. From the first line, show that, okay, this is who you are. Then show that this is what you are. This is what you're applying for, and then why you are applying for the company. So yes, so your CV, your cover letter rather. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Your cover letter shouldn't contain too much stories because nobody wants to read something that is too long because you have other things to do, other important things to do, other important cover letters to go through. So the idea is for you just to be able to catch their attention within 3 seconds. So first of all, for a cover letter to catch someone's attention, one doesn't have to be too long. No one has that time, so don't make it too long. 4 paragraphs. It's going to exceed 4 paragraphs, then you shouldn't move on to the next page. If you move on to the next page, the font size should not be more than 11 too. It should not be too small that it is not readable, it's not legible, and then it should not be all over the place, and it should not be casual. The fact that it's a cover letter, the fact that you want to make your cover letter attractive is not enough reason to make it to be casual about it. It is a cover letter, fine, but it should still remain professional. It should remain professional and effective enough to sell you better. So your first paragraph should contain who you are, how you found about the job, what you're applying for. So my name, as highly skilled content creator, I'm excited to apply for the role of content creator at your company because I am convinced that I have all the required qualifications and specifications to meet to achieve the goals and objectives of your company. So that's like the first paragraph. It doesn't have to be more than 2 sentences or 3 sentences at most. And then the next paragraph, just do a summary, what you have done in the past, maybe for the past 2 years of your career, for the past 3 years of your career, you've done this, you've achieved this, you've earned this and that. So that is what your second paragraph should be about. Should sell you in as specific words as possible. Then your third paragraph too should move on to talk about your skills, the skills that you have, that you can bring on board to this particular job. So the third paragraph is supposed to link your current skills with the job you are applying for. So what connects you to the industry. So at this point, it is important to mention that before you just send your cover letter, you should have done a little research. Not necessarily have to be little research. Do as much research as possible on the company you are applying for, so that you are armed with enough information that would make them know that, oh, this person is really thinking about this job, and this person is really thinking ahead of what they want to do. Your cover letter can still even mention some of the things that you know that you can do. Maybe you can say, oh, you noticed so and so. When Daniel was speaking earlier today, you mentioned that he saw that their graphics, their graphical content was not appealing enough. In this kind of situation, if you're going to send a cover letter, you can actually make reference to it and say, oh, you are convinced that you can bring them the right audience through creating compelling contents and graphic designs or images that would sell. And so it's just for you to make reference to the things that you have noticed while in your research and you really want to work on in order to ensure that the company achieves their goals and objectives. Then what makes you fit to is still making reference to the fact that you have done your research, you have what you can do, and then you know how to link what you can do with what you have to do in the company. Then your final paragraph should be a call to action. So don't just say all the things you have done. Still mention that, oh, you have attached your CV to this email, and then you look forward to further engagements with them. And then, thank you for your consideration. And then that's that. This is a sample of, this is a sample of a cover letter for an intern. Now, it's why an intern or someone that just graduated, an entry-level graduate, and say someone who has over maybe a management level position, or let's say someone that has over 5 years of experience, your cover letter would not be the same. So the fact that we've mentioned your skills or what you have done in the past, it also applies to entry-level positions. In this case, you can make reference to the things that you have done while in school, to the things you've done while in school, maybe leadership positions you occupied, projects you managed, group works you did. And so you can make reference to, all these things. It's not irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. It just what matters is how you can place it in such a way that it sells you well. So if you're an entry-level person or you are a recent graduate, just think about other things like, okay, first of all, know the company, know the industry you are moving into, then think, sit down, think about the things you have done that links to the kind of job you are applying for, and look for a way. So let's say you want to apply for an HR job now, and you've never acted as an HR before. You can still think back in time and say, oh, there was a time that you managed a group of people. Maybe you had a project and you were the group leader. Talk about how you put your people management skills on board, how you organized, how you administered all the activities in such a way that nobody's overworking and nobody's underworking. You can just look for a way to put all these things and link them in such a way that the recruiter can see a link between what you have done, even though it was not a professional job experience, it was not working as an HR, to what you plan to do ahead. So this is why it is important, to volunteer, to do things, to be active in everything you do, so that at least that way you can have quantifiable results to pick and something that you can make reference to in the future. So while sending your cover letter, don't forget to add your name. So finally, yours sincerely, Ojo Kazim, and then your email address. Okay, let me tell you now that your cover letter can also serve as your body, email body for the job you're applying for. Not all companies ask for cover letter. So in a situation whereby you are applying for a job via email, make sure that you are not just sending "please find attached, thank you" as the body of the email. Write out the correct title, and then whatever would have served as your cover letter should serve as the email body, so that there won't be, so that the person that is reading the email would even be gingered enough and motivated enough to go through your CV and want to reach out to you. All right, I guess this is like the end of everything. I hope with everything every other facilitator has said today and what I've added, I hope I've been able to learn one or two things today. I don't know if anybody would have questions. Check the chat box. Okay, what is the difference between a cover letter and What's the difference between a cover letter and a letter of application? So a letter of application, but they're actually basically the same thing. It's just usage. In the past, you have people saying send your letter of application, but your cover letter is in some cases they call it motivation letter. In some places they call it cover letter. In some places they call it letter of application. So either it's letter of application or cover letter or motivation letter. Just make sure that it is attractive and professional enough to sell you better. Does a cover letter need signature and addresses? Signature. Well, except I don't know, most jobs do not even send in physical CV and cover letters anymore. So there's really no way you start signing your documents and then scanning and then send them. So it's not relevant. It's really not relevant to send your signature. Maybe 10 years ago it would have been important to put your signature, but in today's world, you really do not have to add your signature to your cover letter. Okay, does it need addresses? Yeah, well, you can add your address if you want to, but it's really not so relevant, especially if you have it in your CV already. But you can still put, no, you don't really have to. You don't really have to. Well, you can actually. There's no rule that says it's wrong to add your address, but just make sure that you don't have it all over the place and it is concise enough, not scattered around. What's the perfect font size for a CV? All right, so I mentioned before that size 11 is fine. Size 11 is fine. Don't go for size 13. Don't go for 14. Don't go for 8 because 8 is too small. Like I said before, it should be cool enough that such that the recruiter doesn't have to squint and such that it doesn't have to, attack them because it is too big. Can I remove the role I'm presently working in because it might be a disadvantage? Sorry? Can I remove a role that I'm presently working in because it might be a disadvantage without the interviewers having issues with not including it? Oops, I'm trying to understand this question. Should a picture be included in a CV? Well, except if you're applying for a role model job, maybe you want to be, just a model, maybe for a role of a model. Maybe you want to be a model, face model, body model. Nobody needs your picture if you're applying for a banking job.
Okay, hello. Hello, Onyilola.
Yes, I can hear you.
Person meant, could she take out a job role from her CV if the current job she's applying for does not require that experience and that the interviewers wouldn't mind?
Well, the gap for your CV, I really want to understand why you want to remove a role from your CV, because normally the recruiter will be interested in why there's a space gap between one job and the other. So except if I'm trying to look for a scenario where that job is a total no-no on your CV. But except if it's something that you can avoid, just add the roles you have, so you don't just end up, confusing the recruiter and having them wonder what exactly happened between this time and this time. So, yeah. So your picture, it's not necessary. Well, Any other question? Does one need to put gender? Does one need to put gender, age, and religion in one's CV? Well, for me, I would say that there's some information that are sentimental. There's some information that are sentimental, so you don't have to put your age. Your age is not information, because your age, there's some information. Sentimental information now is the fact that it can have a psychological effect on the person that is checking your CV. In a situation whereby maybe they specified the age and you're putting a particular age that is more than the age, then that disqualifies you. So you don't really have to put your age in your CV. Even your gender itself, you really do not have to, except there are some jobs that they specify the things that they want to see in the CV. But if it's not specified, you do not have to put your gender, you don't have to put your age, you don't have to put your religion as well, except if you're applying for a job in that related religion. Maybe you're applying for a project management job maybe in a church setting. You can add your religion in that situation if you see that, okay, it's going to sell you. All right, I guess I have no other questions. Sorry. When one is asked to include an essay, can I follow the same procedure? Include an essay? I don't understand what that means though. But if they are telling you to send with reasons why you should be considered for the job, then whatever information applies for your cover letter would apply for the essay in that situation. You can include relevant links to your jobs, or just make reference to what you have done. All right, I guess that's all. That's all the questions I have for me. Thank you so much for having me.